You know, you're the one everyone calls. You're the one everyone reaches out to when they're in need. And for quite some time, you felt important. You felt valuable because of this. But what nobody told you is that being the person everyone needs and the person people actually see, these are two completely different things. By the end of this video, you're going to see who's really in your corner and how to move differently once you find out. Today, we're going somewhere real because I feel like this topic doesn't get talked about enough in the way that it needs to. Because from what I've seen, the most reliable, the most present, and the most giving women are the one who feel alone the most. This is different than people pleasing because people pleasing, in my opinion, is when you have a hard time saying no, when you have no boundaries. What we're talking about is willingly always show up for people that you have allowed to be in your space, that have earned the privilege to be in your space, and you show up for these people, but you don't get that in return. And I know this because this is a topic that I know too well. I used to be this person who was always available, better than available, readily available. I used to be readily available for those I had allowed in my life, I had allowed in my space. So I became this person where people counted on me. I was reliable, but I started noticing a pattern. And one thing about a pattern is that patterns don't lie because a pattern is basically a repeated behavior and that behavior doesn't stop. So I noticed a pattern where I'm always there for people willingly. It's not that I have a hard time saying no. And I'm realizing that when I need support, any type, emotional, financial, whatever, when I need support from those same people, I'm not getting that. It got to a point where I stopped reaching out because what's the point? Before we keep going, I want you to think of three people in your life, three people that you show up for all the time. Your kids are not part of this, your kids don't count. Three adults that you show up for the most in your life. Now, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time they checked on you without you being in crisis, without you needing support, just genuinely checking on you? If you're having a hard time to remember, keep watching. Because let me tell you, what I learned is that there's a difference between being needed versus being valued. And I'm going to tell you how it shows up in relationships and friendship. In relationships, he's always reaching out when he needs you. When life gets hard, you're the first person he calls. You're basically his hero, right? When things are good, you don't hear from him or you don't hear from him as much. When you need support, you can't get that support because it's always something why you can't get that support. Phone was dead. I forgot. There is always a reason why he's not showing up for you as you show up for him. In friendship, this is one of the way it goes. When your girlfriend is single, you hear of her all the time. You guys are hanging out, right? The moment she gets in a relationship, you no longer hear from her, right? You guys no longer hang out. And it's a bunch of excuses that people come up with. Oh, life's transitioned, or you know how it is. But I bet he still has his friends. But you don't hear from that friend when things are good. When things are bad, they break up with their boyfriend. When we are truly valued, it is mutual. The relationship doesn't shift just because you're not able to do something, just because you're not able to be there as you would. They don't pause on the relationship just because things are good for them. They don't pause on us just because things are going their way. Being valuable means someone sees you for you without your resources, without what you can offer. But here's the thing I think it's worth mentioning. When someone is mostly reaching out because they need you, they're not necessarily doing it because they're, quote, a bad person. Some people just learn to reach out when they need something. Maybe that's how they grew up. Maybe they saw it in their environments and now they're doing the same things. Here's where it gets dangerous. Women who confuse being needed versus being valued, they don't just end up in unbalanced relationships. They also build their identity around being needed, being the helper, being the fixer, being the strong one. And when they stop performing those functions and people start to pull away, they don't think, oh, you know what? This person was using me for what I could give them. This person was only friends with me because of what I brought to the table. They don't think this way. They tend to think, I am not enough. I am not worthy enough. I am not enough for people to stay around. You may go back to being that person who's always there for people when you're not receiving the same in return. And it creates this cycle. And what people don't realize is, and I didn't realize it back then, is that this cycle is fed by an internal belief. So, why do many people feel like being needed is enough? Here's the thing, when someone needs you, it feels like you have a guaranteed place in their life. So, if you're someone who grew up unsure of their worth, if you grew up with the belief that love is based on conditions, that may explain why you are constantly seeking to feel needed by others. When you're truly valued, you don't feel like you have to earn your place in every single interaction. You can show up empty handed and still feel welcomed. You can show up with nothing to offer in that moment and still be embraced and still receive love from your partner, from your friends, from those around you. Here's a simple test that I do and that you can do as well. Ask yourself, can you show up with nothing to offer and still feel like you belong in that relationship? That answer will tell you everything that you need to know. You didn't end up here by accident. You ended up being that person to others because you felt like that was a safe connection to have with people, because you felt like you had to be that person to earn people's friendship, to earn people's love. But what I will tell you is you shouldn't have to work and earn a place in the room in every single interaction. Being needed versus being valued are completely two different experiences. If you know a woman who's always there for people, always showing up for those around her, and she's not getting that in return, share this video with her. Sometimes the right video, the right words come at the right time. And if this video hit for you, subscribe, like, and turn your notification bell on because this is the kind of conversation that we have on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.